Have you ever wondered why it feels so amazing when you're with people you love, but so awful when you feel left out? It's not just some fuzzy feeling. Well, actually, it's literally all in your head, in the most biological way you can imagine. Okay, let's dive into the fascinating neuroscience that explains why your brain is just fundamentally built to connect. You know that phrase, a broken heart? We all use it to talk about the pain of a breakup or a loss. But what if it's not just a poetic metaphor? What if our brain is trying to tell us something way more profound about what connection actually means for our survival? That's the mystery we're going to solve today.
So to start, let's look at the not-so-fun side of all this, the pain of being disconnected. It turns out that awful feeling is way more than just an emotion. It's a biological alarm signal, a really ancient one that our ancestors could not afford to ignore.
This is where things get really wild. Neuroscientists looked inside the brain and found this incredible overlap. When you experience social pain, like, being excluded from a group, it activates the very same parts of your brain that light up when you feel physical pain. So to your brain, a stubbed toe and a harsh criticism trigger a very, very similar alarm. How crazy is that?
Okay, so what's the command center for all this? Meet the DACC. Just think of it as your brain's big red panic button. It doesn't really distinguish why there's a problem. It just signals distress. Something is seriously wrong, whether that threat is a physical injury or a blow to your social standing. And scientists actually proved this with a really clever experiment using a simple game called cyberball. So participants thought they were just tossing a virtual ball around with two other people. But then all of a sudden, the other players just stopped throwing the ball to them. The brain scans were undeniable. The participants' DACC lit up, just as if they'd been physically hurt. This was the smoking gun. It proved that social rejection isn't just a figure of speech. It literally hurts.
Okay, enough of the doom and gloom, right? We've seen how the brain handles social pain. But what about the opposite? What's going on up there when we feel connected and safe and supported? Let's look at the much happier side of the coin.
We talk about a warm friendship or a warm welcome all the time. So just like with pain, you have to ask, is this just another metaphor, or is something deeper going on with our brain chemistry? I think you can guess the answer.
And yep, there it is again, that same incredible overlap, but this time for positive feelings. Experiencing physical warmth, like holding a hot drink, and experiencing social warmth, like getting a loving message from a friend, actually triggers shared pathways in the brain. It's amazing how our brain bundles these two very different things together.
The key player here is the ventral striatum. This is a huge part of the brain's reward center. Basically the, yes, more of that, please, department. And the fact that it fires up for both the feeling of sunshine on your skin and the feeling of being understood tells you that your brain considers both of them to be a fundamental, absolutely delicious reward. And get this, it's not just about what we see on brain scans. It actually affects how we perceive the world. In one fascinating study, people who read loving, personal messages from friends and family actually reported feeling physically warmer afterwards. The social connection didn't just feel good in their head, it literally changed their physical sensation.
Okay, so we've got social pain mirroring physical pain, and social warmth mirroring physical warmth. But what are the chemical messengers making all this happen? What's the juice behind it all? That brings us to the final piece of the puzzle.
Let's talk about mu-opioids. Now, don't let the name throw you. This is your brain's own completely natural opioid system. These chemicals are the drivers behind that pleasurable, satisfying feeling you get from being close to people. When you connect, your brain gives you a little reward, a little hit of these feel-good chemicals.
The process is beautiful and simple. You have a positive interaction with someone, your brain releases mu-opioids, and that creates the warm, fuzzy feeling we call a bond. But here's the kicker. Scientists have shown that if you block this system, those feelings of social connection actually start to fade.
And they have hard evidence for this. In a study, they gave participants naltrexone. That's a drug that blocks opioid receptors, and those people reported feeling significantly less connected to their loved ones. This is pretty direct proof that our own internal opioid system is absolutely crucial for feeling bonded to others. All right, let's put it all together. Our brains process social pain like physical pain. They process social warmth like physical warmth, and they use these special chemicals to create bonds. Now for the million-dollar question. Why? Why in the world did our brains evolve to be this way? When you boil it all down, the answer is incredibly simple and powerful. Survival. Our brains are wired for connection because, for our ancestors, connection was survival. It was everything.
I mean,
Just think about it. For early humans, being alone was terrifyingly dangerous. You needed your group for everything: finding food, watching out for predators, cooperating on big tasks, raising kids. In that world, getting cast out wasn't just an emotional blow. It was very often a literal death sentence. This all leads to this really powerful idea called the social brain hypothesis. It suggests that the reason our brains got so big and complex wasn't mainly for using tools or thinking abstract thoughts. It was to handle the incredibly demanding job of navigating social relationships, keeping track of who's who's friends with whom, the whole complex web of social life.
So your brain evolved to treat a threat to your social bonds with the same life or death urgency as a physical threat, like a predator jumping out of the bushes. That sharp pain of rejection, that's an ancient hardwired alarm bell screaming, "Danger! Your connection to the tribe is at risk."
And that right there is the big takeaway from all of this. Your deep, profound need for other people isn't a weakness. It's not just a fleeting emotion. It is a fundamental biological drive. Every bit is essential to your well-being as food, water, and shelter.
Which leaves us with a final big question to think about. Our brains were forged over millennia in these tightly knit groups. So, if our biology is screaming for real, deep connection, how is it being affected by our modern world, which is so often defined by isolation and digital interactions instead of face-to-face ones? That's definitely something to chew on.